Before the release of Dhurandhar Part 1, R. Madhavan made a very bold statement.
क्योंकि इस फिल्म जब रिलीज होगी तो एक जॉनर ऑफ फिल्म मेकिंग मुझे लगता है इंडियन सिनेमा में खत्म हो जाएगा.
And after the success of Dhurandhar Part 1 and Part 2, everyone accepted that the spy genre is done and dusted. But even after all this, YRF still went ahead with the release of Alpha, spent tons of money on its PR machinery, and believe me when I say this, all we got is the weakest film in the YRF Spy Universe. And to be clear, even if I remove Dhurandhar from the discussion entirely, Alpha fails on its own terms. Hello everyone, welcome back. I saw Alpha yesterday. I was traveling so couldn't watch it over the weekend, which is why this video is late. And while I am shooting this video, Alpha has got mixed reactions across social media. Some are praising the film, some are trolling the film. The box office collections, the PR machinery, it's a lot to take in if you're still deciding on whether to watch the movie or not. But the fact of the matter is that Alpha is just not good.
You're goddamn right.
In an earlier video on Alpha, I clearly mentioned that its pre-release strategy was an act of desperation and it was happening because the studio didn't trust its own story. And in this video, let's look at what went wrong with the movie from 3 different lenses. First, with Alpha as a standalone movie, second as a part of the YRF Spy Universe, and third in comparison with Dhurandhar, but not the reverse Dhurandhar which the internet is talking about, but more of a reverse Black Tiger, the story of the Indian spy Ravindra Kaushik.
वो हिंदुस्तान के पहले रेजिडेंट एजेंट थे
जो जाकर वहाँ घर बसा,
डोमिसाइल्ड होता है, वहाँ जाकर रहता है, घर बसाता है, हाँ, एक सोशल नेटवर्क अपना बनाता है.
This video contains spoilers and I will try my best to be as balanced as possible. Alpha had a few good parts that deserve a mention, but many more bad parts that need retrospection. So let's get started with the first point, Alpha as a standalone movie, and start with the most basic question. Why do we go to watch a film? We watch a film because we want to feel something, maybe excitement, maybe fear, maybe love, maybe the feeling that the person on screen is fighting for something that actually matters, what we call emotion. Alpha gives you none of that, and the biggest reason for that is the screenplay. The movie opens on a pensive note in the aftermath of the Kargil war. Anil Kapoor's character, Vikrant Kaul, an army colonel, stands before soldiers who lost their lives in the war. Bobby Deol's character, Fateh Singh Lakhawat, is equally devastated by the loss and brings up the Alpha program, a serum to create a super soldier similar to what we see in Captain America.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry, there are many copycat moments. La Femme Nikita, Black Widow, Ballerina, and the one that no one has talked about, Game of Thrones. Watch this. Arya Stark jumping and killing the Night King in Game of Thrones. And now, this. Alia Bhatt jumping and getting caught mid-air, only one difference. Bobby Deol's character Fateh doesn't get killed here, it happens later. Coming back to that Alpha program, for some bizarre, incomprehensible reason, it is approved only to soon result in complications leading to its cancellation. Without going into too many details, the young Alia Bhatt's character receives this Alpha serum. And Fateh kidnaps her, trains her, only so he can use her blood and later her brain cells to create a strong, potent version of the Alpha serum. Why? That part comes in the third act of the movie. All this while you're just sitting in the theater waiting for things to happen. Now pay attention to this because this is the most important point in this entire video. The action sequences in the movie are actually good. Please don't get me wrong, it has wire work, it has some shots which look CGI enhanced, but they are still good. The stunt direction, the camera work in those moments, technically speaking, some things do work. The fight sequence between Alia and Sharvari deserves a special mention.
मुझे सिर्फ तुमसे बात करनी है, रोक लो तो बात कर लो.
But that entire action sequence with Hrithik's Kabir is just too cartoonish. It doesn't feel real. I mean, bullets flying and characters dodging them. Come on, we are now in the post-Dhurandhar era. This is unacceptable. Now let's talk about Alia Bhatt's character in Alpha. What is she fighting for? In the first 30 minutes of Alpha, we get 3 different country locations, 2 action sequences, and at least 1 unnecessary song. But we never get a single moment when we genuinely understand what drives this character. What are her stakes? What will she lose if she fails? Nothing. We get absolutely nothing.
वुल्फ की बेटी वुल्फ ही होती है सर.
And this is the core problem with Alpha's screenplay. It is built on spectacle, not at stake. The entire film basically operates in one mode. Alia Bhatt is running away from someone or running towards someone. At some point, I generally started feeling like I was watching a tourism advertisement. Beautiful locations, zero narrative purpose. And I'm not saying the locations are bad, the cinematography team has done genuinely beautiful work. But here is the problem. In a spy film, geography should never be random. Where your spy goes should tell us something about who they are and what they are after. In Alpha, it just looks good on the poster. In simpler terms, this film has a wardrobe budget but no emotional budget. Now let's talk about the actors. Alia Bhatt as Sita deserves the award for the worst casting in the Indian cinema. And it's no point judging the acting. Sharvari has very little screen time compared to Alia, and her entry song was unnecessary. Look, I understand that songs are part of the Bollywood formula. I'm not someone who says every film needs to abandon the musical tradition. But when you are making a spy film that wants to be taken seriously, when you are spending this kind of money, and when you are placing this film right next to the legacy of Dhurandhar, you cannot afford to kill your own momentum with songs that have zero narrative function. A song should earn its place. It should arrive at the right emotional beat. It should tell us something about the characters or advance the plot. These songs do none of that. They appear right when the story needs to move and the story stalls, and then we restart again. Anil Kapoor is okay, he's first an army colonel, then becomes Raw chief. Sita and Durga are his daughters, and he eventually gives them an option to join Raw, the point when the whole audience in the theatre says,
No! God! No! God, please, no! No!
Bobby Deol's character Fateh is the main villain, and even though his facial expressions, devilish smile and overall demeanor are commanding, his Haryanvi accent is a big letdown. It just sounds so fake. I had said it in the teaser review as well. If the character really needed to speak Haryanvi, the actor should have been Randeep Hooda. The action sequences featuring Bobby Deol in the film are good, but it all boils down to the point I made earlier. If I do not care about the person throwing the punches, if I do not know what they are fighting for, it means nothing. It is technically impressive, emotionally empty. That is Alpha as a standalone film. Technically ambitious, emotionally bankrupt.
Happy birthday.
Now let's raise the bar a little by looking at Alpha as a part of the YRF Spy Universe. Being a part of an established universe requires a certain kind of responsibility. Every film needs to extend the story to the next installment. Think of it like how Marvel invested in taking single standalone films like Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and then brought all of them together as a payoff in Avengers Endgame. It's like adding chapters to a book that people actually care about. The YRF Spy Universe started with Ek Tha Tiger in 2012, over a decade ago, and back then it wasn't a good movie as well. Today it's at best forgettable. Tiger Zinda Hai was even worse, War was good but War 2 was bad, and Pathan and Tiger 3 were at best cash grabs. And the audience came to Alpha with all that weight, hoping to see some connection with the main villain Kali, but Alpha answers none of the questions. The legacy connections in this film, and I will not spoil specifics, feel like a marketing decision rather than a narrative one. When Kabir shows up in the movie, he feels more like adult Jadoo from Koi Mil Gaya than a ruthless spy whose name is feared by everyone. Being a Hrithik fan myself, I personally feel there wasn't really a need for a cameo at all. Instead of making the story richer or more complicated, it felt totally out of place and added no dramatic weight to the film. Alpha is technically a standalone film and has a less than ideal connection to the universe, which makes these legacy connections feel unearned. It borrows the emotional capital of the universe without contributing anything back, and this is a serious long-term problem for YRF. Right now the Spy Universe has Tiger, it has Kabir, it has Pathan. No matter how their individual movies have turned out over the years, these characters mean something to a massive audience. But if every new film uses these connections as trailer hooks without actually building on them, audiences will feel the emptiness. They will stop showing up with genuine excitement, they will just show up to tick a box. And now we get to the comparison everyone has been waiting for. Alpha versus Dhurandhar.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
I want to address one thing before I start. Some people say this comparison is unfair, that comparing Alpha to Dhurandhar is comparing two completely different intentions. And look, I hear that argument, but I do not accept it. Both are spy films, both had massive budgets, both were released within months of each other in the same ecosystem, competing for the same audience on the same screens. The comparison is not unfair, the comparison is inevitable. You cannot walk into the theatre without thinking of Dhurandhar. It's a benchmark film against which all future films, irrespective of genre, will be compared. So let's do it honestly. Bobby Deol's character Fateh is basically a Pakistani spy sent by the ISI to India to infiltrate the Indian military. He comes to India, steals the identity of a Haryana man, joins the Indian military, rises in the ranks, and through an exemplary military record reaches the rank of colonel. Now for those who don't know, Ravindra Kaushik, the Indian spy codenamed Black Tiger, was a real spy sent to Pakistan who rose in the ranks of the Pakistani army and reached the rank of major, and if reports are to be believed, passed on sensitive information about Pakistan's military tactics to India. So amongst everything that was copied, this bit of inspiration was also used to build the character of Fateh Singh Lakhawat. Now coming to Dhurandhar, and without going into too many details, be it the world building, the grounded authenticity, the performances, or the villain character arcs, both these movies are universes apart. Dhurandhar takes its time to build the story and the character's depth, creating emotional investment with a payoff later in the movie. The art of the screenplay shines in each and every frame, and Alpha does not have the patience for any of that. It is rushing from the very first scene, location to location, sequence to sequence, song to action to emotional beat and to song again. It never slows down enough to let you actually feel anything, and here is the brutal irony. By moving so fast, by trying to keep you constantly entertained, Alpha actually loses you because you cannot connect with something that never stops long enough for you to catch up. Dhurandhar follows you home, Alpha does not, and that single sentence honestly is the most accurate review I can give you of both the films. Now I want to end this comparison on a constructive note because I'm not making this video just to criticize. I genuinely want Indian cinema to be better, and that includes YRF 2. So what should they actually do going forward? Frankly, this question deserved its own video, but if I have to take a quick stab at the question, I'll just say take a break. Think of a reboot, one movie at a time. First, stop treating the Spy Universe as a franchise machine and start treating it as a storytelling commitment. Marvel built a universe that lasted over a decade because each and every film, even the smaller ones, added something real to the larger story. Characters grew, relationships changed. The universe felt alive because each new entry was genuinely invested in the ongoing story. YRF Spy Universe right now feels like a brand extension exercise. New face, new location, same template, and audiences can feel it. Second, invest in the screenplay before you invest in anything else. The locations, the action sequences, the PR machinery, the cast, all of that was funded at that level. And yet, the screenplay, the document on which everything else is built, clearly did not receive the same level of investment and scrutiny. Everything else is decoration on a weak foundation. Third, and this is the most important point, take the audience seriously. Dhurandhar proved something that the industry needed to see. Indian audiences are ready for intelligent, emotionally complex spy cinema. They do not need everything explained. They do not need 3-item songs to stay engaged. They do not need a romance subplot to care about the protagonist. What they need is a great human story told with conviction. Because honestly, the benchmark has changed and it is not going back. So where does this leave us? Alpha had everything that a major Bollywood film is supposed to have, and it still failed at the one thing that actually matters in the long run, the emotional connection between the story and the audience. Before Dhurandhar, you could release a slick Bollywood spy film with great locations and big stars, and the audience had no real point of comparison. They had never seen what an Indian spy film could actually look like when made with honesty, conviction, and genuine creative courage. They have that reference point now, and that reference point has permanently shifted what audiences will accept.
पाकिस्तान का मुस्तकबिल अब हिंदुस्तान तय करेगा.
You cannot go back to the old formula and expect the same response. The audience has been educated, they have seen what is possible, and they are no longer willing to settle for a film that treats them like people who want to see pretty locations and fight sequences. Believe me when I say this, the era of Indian spy films coasting on star power and spectacle alone is finished. And until YRF figures out what actually makes a great spy story, not the budget, not the cast, not the global locations, but a great human story at the center of everything, they will keep making alphas. That is my take on what went wrong with Alpha. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you think I was too harsh? Do you think YRF will actually course correct for their next release? Subscribe if you haven't already and check out our latest video on the Mirzapur movie right here. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.